Yo, yo, yo! Welcome back to the MMA Short Show. As always, your boy, Stephen Moustaris. And last night, the UFC shook up the MMA world a little bit with like 12 fight announcements that, a couple of championship fights, couple of contenders, couple of whatever. It's some really good matchups. But one of the ones that stuck out the most to me was a brand new signing from the UFC. This man, Pitbull Freire, Patricico Pitbull Freire, this dude is a killer. Before we get into him and who he's fighting and everything, if you guys have never watched Bellator, you need to go watch this guy. He's on the short list of dudes that weren't in the UFC that I always felt could easily come over and make a splash. I felt like he could have killed a lot of the top contenders. I don't know if he could have beat Volkanovski or Max Holloway at the time for the 145 belt, but I really think he could make a really fun fight for him. He's a dog. He's a killer. If you guys watch him take out Michael Chandler for the 155 belt, like it was impressive as hell. This dude is a dog. It's sad though that we had to wait so long because he is a little older now. We're not probably going to get prime Pitbull Freire, but we could get a couple nice fun fights. And then it got me thinking about all the guys that we've had in the UFC because I know we're really down on the other promotions as an MMA fandom, especially the UFC group. Like, we're down on Bellator, we're down on PFL, we're down on One Championship all the time. We're always talking crap. Cage Warriors, all these guys. We're always like, oh, you're not the UFC. Yet, we have had many of examples in the past where, like when we got Strikeforce, when the UFC picked up Strikeforce, Luke Rockhold, Gegard Mousasi, all these guys that we got from there, Ronaldo Souza, all these dudes that they got, Jacare, all these guys. These guys were killers. Yoel Romero, all these dudes came over and just took over the UFC. And then it reminded me a little bit of when they got the WEC, when you had guys like Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz, good old Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson. These guys that came over, the lighter weights that came over and just took over the UFC. And then again, some of the Bellator guys, Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler, MVP. And although he's not that, I didn't think he was that successful in the UFC, he made the UFC a shit ton of money with the one knockout that he took against Jorge Masvidal, and that's Ben Askren. So it got me thinking, man, which Bellator fighters could really make a splash over at the UFC right now? Especially if you guys watch it all. The PFL has been fumbling the bag forever since they've acquired all the Bellator guys. They're icing all of them. They don't want to pay them their original contract because it's a lot of money. So a lot of these guys are becoming free agents. So outside of Pitbull Freire, one of the next guys that I always felt is just at the top of the game, and he has beat Pitbull, I thought, twice, but he has knocked him out once or choked him out once, and then in the second fight, it was a split decision. But this man, AJ McKee, absolute killer. And I personally like him better at 155, but he is a dog at 145 as well. But I just think he's getting older. He's growing out to his body a little bit better. I think at 155, he could make a splash. I don't know if he would be as clean as to get past somebody like, Charles Oliveira or, even Armin Sarukian, especially Islam Makhachev. Like, I think he would probably fall a little bit to those guys, but when it comes to the DPs and the Gaethjes and the Chandlers and all these guys, like, this dude's a killer, man. And not only take you down and submit you, he's got awkward fighting, like stand-up, where this man's gonna hit you with stuff that you're just like, how the hell did you hit me? He's a dog. And if you guys like the whole, dad training, like with Tom Aspinall, how his dad trains him. If you guys love that, AJ McKee's dad, former fighter, also trains him. So it's always fun to watch those guys go through wins or losses together. It's nice and beautiful to watch. So AJ McKee's got to be on that list. Another guy that I really like, that this isn't at a former champion or anything for Bellator, but this guy has been hyped up for years. I thought they pushed him a little too quick for Bellator, but this dude's still like, he's got to be under 30 still. But this man, Aaron Pico, I know a lot of people know him. This dude's a killer. We're not breaking any, news here about how good this guy is. But his first few fights at Bellator, he looked so good, and he was just so highly touted from his gym and everything, that, of course, these guys are going to give him some of the biggest killers in the world. I remember when he took the front kick to the face. I remember some nasty stuff. He's got exposed a couple times at 21, 22, 23 years old. So nothing too crazy at that time to break him completely. But now that he's a little older and he's been training better, this man is on a crazy run right now. We haven't seen him very much recently. So he's probably still healthy. The layoff's probably done well for him. He might have some of the jitters regardless when you come over to the UFC, but at 155, 145, this dude has all the tools in the world to take people out, man. Even if he decided to, I think he should stay at 155, maybe even at 170, because he is getting bigger. I'm just telling you, man, that guy's skill level is so damn good that I think he could take out a lot of people at the UFC, man. I can't wait to see it. It's kind of already sound like they're signing him. So then we keep going on to this list, man. This guy, I think, is a little too old now. If I'm being honest with you guys, I think he's 38, 39. But his run that this dude went on for Bellator, knocking out somebody like MVP with one of the coolest knockouts you'll ever see. This man, Douglas Lima, at 170, this dude is an absolute killer, man. This dude, one of the nastiest leg kicks of all time. It's powerful kicks no matter what he throws, but the leg kicks. I've watched him break down guys left and right, has some of the nastiest hooks, isn't afraid to throw his hands. Like, he is such a fun fighter, and I think he would transition so well to the UFC. His damn brother, Diego, was in the UFC forever. I think he still is, but when it comes to Douglas Lima, I think it's a shame now that he's 38, 39. We haven't got to see much out of him the last few years because of the whole Bellator purchase. And like I said, they don't want to pay him his money because he's a former champion. But Douglas Lima always would have been fun on the short list. We got guys like Vadim Nemkov I really like a lot. I really like Johnny Eblen too at like the 185, 170 area. I think he could do his grappling. It would be a lot of fun to see against somebody like Hamzat and whatnot because he's got a wild pace. But I'm telling you, he'd be a lot of fun in there. And like I said, with Vadim Nemkov, I don't know if he's got the striking to hang with guys like Alex Pereira and whatnot at the light heavyweight division, but he's got the grappling and he's got the pace to push it all night. I think he would be a lot of fun against guys like Jan Blachowicz and stuff like that. I think he could make a splash. So these guys, you definitely got to keep out for them. I don't know what's necessarily going on with those guys. I know Johnny Eblen's very good training partners with Dustin Poirier and all them, and Vadim Nemkov. Like all these guys, the good thing for them, they're at big gyms where the UFC fighters train. So they definitely got a way to get in there. And if we're looking at any other ones, I think the last person is 135. This man, Patchy Mix, I think he's the number one on this list that could actually come over to the UFC and give everybody problems. This dude's ground game is nasty. His knee game is nasty. Super tall, super lengthy for the division. His knockout, man, he's got so many nasty knockouts. I mean, my goodness. But his submission game might be even nastier. Like, truly one of the greatest fighters that are out there right now that aren't in the UFC. And of course, this man's dating Tatiana Suarez, might be married to her, but those guys are nasty. Those two are, as a couple, they got to be on a short list of like the biggest killers as a 1-2 punch when it comes to a relationship. So those are my guys for Bellator to watch out. I think they could make a splash. You guys let me know who you guys think, but it's always your boy, Steven Moustaris, and I'm really looking forward to this, man. Good old Pitbull going up against my man, Yair Rodriguez. I don't know how that fight's going to go. I think that's a very winnable fight for Pitbull, and that's going to be a very fun fight to, get some highlight. But again, like I said, I just watch AJ McKee with an awkward style put Pitbull on Queer Street and then submit him. I'm telling you, Yair Rodriguez kicks crazy, and Pitbull's pretty short. So I still have high hopes for him, but as always, your boy, Steven Moustaris. Let's go, baby.